My name is Serena Gilbert, and I am super excited to be featured in Bold Blind Beauty for this month's Women on the Move segment. I'm going to share a little bit about my vision loss journey and then also give you some insight into where I'm at now. You might have recognized me from last month's feature as well as on social media as Blindy Girl. But to start with my vision loss journey, it started actually when I was very, very young. I was born with my eyes crossed and had to have surgery to actually have that corrected. I've always had some difficulty with my vision, but I didn't receive an official diagnosis until I was about 13 or 14, so in eighth grade and middle school, of retinitis pigmentosa. For those that are not familiar, retinitis pigmentosa is a degenerative eye condition that impacts one's peripheral, so kind of what's on the outside of your eyes, like when you look out of the corner of your eye, vision, as well as vision acuity. So I have a lot of difficulty seeing things that are to my left or to my right, and also things are quite blurry for me. I've actually been diagnosed with, I guess they would say, object perception. It used to be light perception, used to be even better than that in high school. But retinitis pigmentosa also impacts your vision acuity. And then also for me, it especially impacts me when I'm in low light settings and unable to see great contrast. So when it's dark outside, I have significant night blindness. Or if I come from a really bright space to a really dark space, it's really hard for my eyes to transition. It takes a little bit of time. When I was younger, I always was treated just like any of the other children. I was never made to feel that I couldn't do anything or try anything. There were never any limitations put on me. In fact, I really wanted to be viewed as quote unquote normal, even if that meant sometimes accidentally running into brick walls when I would go visit friends. Hey, it's really hard when you're younger. I really started to have a little bit more difficulty when I was later in my high school career and then especially college. So, in high school, I had an individualized education program, much like any other students that have disabilities, that allowed for me to have accommodations like having things written on the board, not in the colors like blue or green or red, because those were harder colors for me to see. My acuity back then was a lot better. I was able to read regular print. It took me a little bit longer, but I was definitely still able to read regular print. I didn't use any screen readers or a white cane or anything like that. Transition to college, though, and the workload definitely got a little bit more heavy and required a lot more reading and a lot more responsibility than just sitting in class and kind of absorbing the information. So that's when I actually started receiving some pretty intense services from my local vocational rehabilitation here in Colorado. And that helped me develop a lot of what's called daily living skills. So learning to cook and clean in an adaptive manner, as well as orientation and mobility skills. So using a white cane safely, crossing a busy street safely, making sure that I can travel independently on buses or paratransit or whatever I choose. Now, I'm not going to say that learning to use the white cane was an easy transition for me. I was 19 or 20 years old when I started learning how to use the white cane, and very much so thought there was some stigma attached to using a white cane. It took me a long time to start actually using it and feel comfortable having it in public more so, or even around my coworkers. That's actually pretty common amongst individuals that have vision loss, especially when it's progressive. There is definitely an adjustment period that has to kind of go through its, I guess, just kind of go through it in order to get there, to have that level of acceptance of this white cane as a mobility device. It's something that actually can help me, not hinder me, and it's nothing to be embarrassed of. But again, I want to reiterate, everyone makes that adjustment on their own terms and in their own time. So luckily I was able to overcome that and eventually start using it a lot more often, especially in work settings. And then eventually I did actually get a guide dog. His name was Weston, and I used him a ton when I started working in my professional life and going to different high schools and things like that. Like he was just the the light of everything whenever I would go to different places, and everybody just adored him. So where I am now is I actually work for the state of Colorado for my vocational rehabilitation agency. I started about 14 and a half years ago as a counselor, a vocational rehabilitation counselor, working with young adults with disabilities. They are my favorite group to work with. I love working with young adults and teens to help them find their goals and really realize the potential and the ability that they have to be successful in work. After that, I actually promoted in my agency to be a program manager under our youth services team. So, what I do right now is I help manage programs to help young adults with disabilities be able to access our services and to make sure our services are made widely available. And I have a really great opportunity to do lots of really creative and innovative things to make those services available and get really creative. In my spare time, I also like to do audio description quality control. I am a self described audio description snob, but audio description quality control consists of a blind QCer, as we call it, a blind quality control specialist, taking the audio description script, which is the actual words written down that the narrator would say in between the dialogue that occurs on a title, and making sure that that script is recorded properly, that the narrator has not accidentally said a different word that's in the script, also checking that script for clarity, making sure that it makes sense with the scene, and then double checking for mistakes. We are all human, and sometimes a different name is mentioned than was meant, and the quality control specialist's job is to catch those errors. I'm also a mom. I have a son that is in middle school, and he is just one of my favorite humans, obviously. And being a mom is just awesome. It's up and down. Like there's hard times, because being a parent is literally the hardest thing that you will ever do. But I remember when I found out I was having a baby and I was so, so scared. I was like, how am I going to change my son's diaper? That is just so hard. I don't even know. And one of my sighted friends that had just had a baby said, Serena, when I change my son's diaper, I almost always do it in the dark in the middle of the night. You'll be fine. And honestly, from that moment on, I was fine. It's just so funny the different things that you worry about. I also use a ton of technology. I am a technology dork. Anytime there's new things that come out, I love to try them out. I love to just test them. I especially am a big fan of artificial intelligence and learning all of the different things that it can do, including recognizing videos or helping me check my makeup when I need to. I am literally the first person to try something new when it comes out if I'm able to. So I really appreciate you taking some time to hear a little bit about my vision loss journey and some of the things that I'm up to now. If you'd like to follow me, you can look me up on Facebook at Blindy Girl. That's BLINDY Girl. And on Instagram, it's Blindy Girl Official. So BLINDYGIRL Official. Thanks so much. And again, have the most blessed day.